Do the Georgia Bulldogs have the best defensive line in all of college football? Well, I think that's a fair question. Georgia's defensive line has never been the strength of the team or really the strength of the defense in recent years, but it could be this year. They've got size, they've got veteran leadership, they've got talent. The group is full of five stars, and when I was going back and watching Clemson's defensive line, who could also be the best in college football, I started thinking, Georgia's isn't that far off of Clemson's and actually might be better if you talk about size and just the veteran-led group that Georgia has. Now, I know Clemson's defensive line is absolutely one of the best in college football because, I covered a lot of those guys' recruitments. You talk about Brian Breesy, Miles Murphy, Tyler Davis. Those are guys that chose Clemson over Georgia. I know how good those guys are. They're absolute monsters, and I do think that they're going to give Georgia's offense a lot of trouble in the opening game. But Jordan Davis is one of the best offensive linemen in college football. He could have come out last year and been a top 2-round guy. I think a lot of people may have thought he was a first-round talent. I think he could have been, but he came back. He's a senior. This is a guy who you just can't move. That's what Dan Lanning told us earlier this week on Tuesday when talking about Jordan Davis. He told reporters, quote, "Jordan just doesn't get moved. I know we always talk about his size. I think one thing he has continued to improve upon is not just be a guy that doesn't get moved and eats up blocks, but be a guy that separates himself from a block. I'm anticipating Jordan being a guy that can play 3 downs, which is something he's not been able to do so far in his career in Athens. He has to get his body in a position where he can do that because he is extremely athletic and super talented. When his conditioning fits that, he's a guy that can create issues on first and second downs. When you have a guy that is like Jordan's size, offenses are going to try and get the ball away from Jordan and try to make him a non-factor. Again, the Cincinnati game we showed as a team defense the other day, a video of Jordan running down the ball carrier, and that's because of his conditioning. So if he continues to maintain that, it will allow him to really push himself and be a guy that can be an every down player for us. If Jordan Davis is playing on all 3 downs, he could be a top 10 pick in the draft. This is a guy who gives you 100% and can really clog those lanes first and second down against the run. But he's a guy that maybe comes off the field more, and they bring in the athletic edge guys who can come after the quarterback on third down. If Jordan Davis is playing all 3 downs, he is going to have a special season. Not only do you have him, Devonta Wyatt, maybe still the most underrated player on the entire roster. He's another guy with size and quickness. He gets off the ball like he's 30 pounds lighter than what he really is. He made a lot of plays last year that I think went unnoticed. If he's not making a play, he's disrupting the play, helping another guy come and make the tackle. He does his job. He's another guy who I think would have been drafted if he came out last year. He decided to come back, and when Jordan Davis and Devonta Wyatt are in there on first and second down, you're not running the ball on Georgia. They stopped the run against pretty much everyone last year. I think Kentucky's back Chris Rodriguez gave him a little bit of trouble. He's really good. And then the running back at South Carolina gave him some trouble, who's also one of the best in the SEC. And of course, Alabama with Najee Harris got some stuff going as well. But for the most part, teams are not running on Georgia, especially with those 2 guys in there. They've got depth, and that's what Dan Lanning talked about a little later in that press conference. When you're talking about defense is the ultimate team sport, and the more guys you are able to involve in the process, meaning you have guys that can play at a high level, the more buy-in there is on your side of the ball. I think we have really great leaders. We've challenged our players to make this a player-led team, and the more players that are involved, the more it becomes a player-led team. We've always said if you're good enough, you're old enough. It doesn't matter how old you are, but if you play at the right level with the right intensity, the right competitive toughness, you execute the assignment, then we're going to figure out a way to get you on the field. I think that's been a benefit and certainly will be a benefit this year. They are stacked. You've got guys like Trayvon Walker, Jalen Carter. I'm really talking about interior guys in the middle of the line of scrimmage. We can talk about edge guys more. And Georgia has some of those guys, Adam Anderson, Nolan Smith, guys who can really come off the edge. But Trayvon Walker's a guy who can play a little bit of everything, just depending on the down and distance, first, second, or third down. He's a guy that can move all around. There's not a lot of guys who can move like him at 290 pounds. Just super, super athletic. And if you've been on Dog Post for a few years now, you know all about Trayvon Walker and what he brings to the table from an athletic standpoint on the interior defensive line. Made a lot of plays. Game-winning sack against Auburn as a freshman. I think year 3 is a year where he really turns a lot of heads. And with the big season, he's another guy who could possibly leave early and be a high draft pick. So I do think there's a ton of NFL talent on Georgia's defensive line. Maybe the most talented defensive line they've had in recent years. And this could be the best defensive line we've seen out of Georgia in some time. And of course, they should be able to be one of the best in college football. They kind of have been the past 2 years. This year, I do think they have a chance to be number one if these guys stay healthy. Guys continue to progress like Jalen Carter. We saw a little bit of Nazir Stackhouse. Zion Logue is a guy who absolutely looks the part. This will be his 3rd year. I think this could be a light switch type of year for him. Dean saw him in high school and was really impressed. If it starts clicking for him, he's another guy who could have maybe a breakout year along the defensive line. This is just a talented group, going back to what Dan Lanning said about Trayvon Walker. He expects a lot of TFLs, a lot of plays in the backfield. I want to see this guy running sideline to sideline. I have high expectations for Trayvon. His athleticism is really unique. He's a guy that we're always trying to figure out how we can incorporate into our scheme, and we're asking him to do more this year. We're doing more with him this year than we've ever done, and I think Trayvon has really bought into that, and it's showing up daily out there on the practice field. So just watching Dan Lanning talk to us on Tuesday, he loves this group. He is really excited about his defensive line. He's always coached the outside linebackers, the pass rushers anyway, but you can tell he's really excited about this interior group, along with guys who can really get after the passer. Adam Anderson could lead the league in sacks this year. Nolan Smith, again, #1 player in the country out of high school. This will be his junior year. If he wants to have that 3-and-out plan, he needs, to have a big season getting after the quarterback as well. So kind of a money year for both of those guys. I expect them both to rise to the occasion, and it's only going to be easier when they've got, guys in the middle who are also doing their best to, break the pocket down from the inside. So there's a lot of potential for this group, this defense. I know Dan Lanning is really excited about this defense, and the more I think about it, the more, it's tough for me to find a deeper, more talented, bigger defensive line in college football than Georgia's right now. Clemson has a very, very good unit. Georgia does too. We'll see which side does the better job in Charlotte in just a few more weeks, guys. Thanks for watching this video as always. Stay tuned to the next one coming up right now, and I'll see you over on the website.